And then I do this like behind the camera thing where I just annoy the out of you.
Nah,
so.
that's all right.
Yeah. HoonTV! Right, so I'm in Gearbox land, and this is Sam, owner of Neat Gearboxes. G'day, mate.
G'day, how are you?
Good. Today I'm in your workshop, and there's diffs, gearboxes, machines, all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah.
But we're looking at my CBR900 gearbox and going to work out A, what's wrong with it, B, how we can improve it.
Yeah.
So let's head down, unwrap it and pull it apart and have a look.
All right, so we got a gear cluster that you haven't pulled apart yet, so we're going to have a look at it and see what's gone wrong, if anything's gone wrong.
Yep, and I did that intentionally because some of them can slide off the shaft, so.
Yeah.
And there's my spare gearbox, which is maybe going to be useful for some bits.
Yep.
And the drum and the forks and all that there.
So this has done some work in the bike already, or?
This gearbox was, I'd say brand new, like the gears themselves, because of when you could still buy them from Honda. I bought them from down the road, rebuilt it. It did 2 seasons of racing, tons of track days. It's been crashed a few times in the bike. But other than that, it's been great. But yeah, just at Adelaide Motorsport Festival this year, I noticed that it was starting to bang out a second. I was having a baby it and... It's time to fix it so I can have fun properly again.
Yeah, sounds good. So first thing we would usually do is just run over every gear and make sure it's sort of able to slide on shafts. So we'd just be checking the wear that occurs when shifting. You're more familiar with the configuration here. That to me looks like first gear and potentially second there, is that right?
Yeah, so yeah, first, second, and I believe third...
Must be either this or this.
Third, fourth.
Yeah.
Sorry, third, fourth.
First.
Yeah, because in order of size.
Yeah. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
Yeah, so yeah, in here. So funny thing with these two, and this is like completely irrelevant to this, I've ordered a new one of these, but these seals, see how it's got a lip on the edge of it?
Yeah, yeah.
And this is an important part of the video for all the Honda CBR900 guys. If you're rebuilding your gearbox, do not forget to put that on now. And I swear, because it's got a lip on it and that it locks into the casings. And I got given a bike once that just had the gearbox done in it and they put it all back together.
And then you knock
and they hadn't put the seal in. And because it's...
And you can't knock it in from the outside because it's got an edge on it or whatever.
Yeah, so, but because it butts up against the bearing, I managed to get away with like actually putting that on a grinder and grinding the lip off it and then putting some paste
silicone around it.
Yeah, the locking paste,
Damn.
But it's not an ideal situation.
No,
so
you definitely want to be putting that in place before you knock it back into the case.
Yep.
Yep. So, but the problem child you think is second gear?
Yeah, so for me,
Yeah. So we got a bit of wear and that undercut disappearing a little bit in the dogs there. And then I suppose on the corresponding gear you want to be looking for wear as well. It doesn't look super bad, but we'll get it apart and get a better look at it.
And for relevance as well, or reference, there's a second gear there, a brand new one. So,
so these are no longer available. Is that what you're?
No, I'd probably say there's handfuls of them around the world in various places that are still got old stock, but Honda tended to go down the discontinuing stuff path at 20 years.
Yeah. Which
makes annoying because I've mentioned this in other videos before. Through the 4 generations of Fireblade, 92 to 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, they had 4 different gearbox ratios.
Oh man.
So they changed it every time, so nothing interchanges. So that is a 98
we got a
model.
26 tooth second gear there.
Yeah.
Suiting a 98, but you can't put that into a
Yeah.
95 or something.
No, 96 was a 27 tooth second gear. So I think they just, through racing or whatever, they decided which was the best ratios by the last generation of that bike. And then when they went to 2000, the whole bike was completely different and the engine was different. So do we time lapse this or we'll pull it apart one by one?
How would you like to do it?
Well, I guess, if anything, like when I do them, and I mean, you're the expert, not me, because you're the one wearing the jacket. I sort of, like, for my own reference, I'd lay it out across the bench in order.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
because I know...
I'll always stack them up.
All the shims and everything are relevant.
Right, all the spaces. Yeah, that's definitely worth working systematically, however you do it. So I'll always pair up the gear shafts in the right order, because, you know, you can hold it and get a bit lost and go, oh, which one works with which.
Yeah.
If you go in order, you know, call at the front where the nut is.
Yep.
And then you just try and work systematically. So yeah, we've got a slip bearing and we have a washer in behind first gear there.
Yep.
That'll act as a thrust, so we'll pile those up.
Well, what I might do is I reckon if I go for a time lapse here, and then I'll just, I'll get that one going.
Fourth gear's got a bit of wear on the upshift. So
fingers crossed that this one here has got a good fourth gear in it.
Yeah.
Actually, while you're doing that, I did the smart thing and put these together with a zip tie, so I wouldn't keep get the order out of order. So that would be fourth gear there. Maybe looks probably about the same.
Don't want to stretch these, so you just try and expand them at a minimum. Get them past all the grooves. It's a little bit fiddly sometimes.
They're a pain in the butt.
And sometimes I'm making it hard for myself here on my other workbench. I've got a little 3-jaw chuck mounted to the bench.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can just hold a shaft in place without it wriggling around on you. Motorcycles certainly, you know, obviously you've got weight and all of those types of considerations, engine speed and so on, that obviously make them more sensitive. It's definitely worn on both sides, upshift and downshift side. I can't tell you which one's which without sitting down and working it out, but you know, you're looking at this burr here. What keeps a gear engaged, there's maybe a 2 or 3 degree undercut on this dog here, which mates up with a 2 or 3 degree undercut on the engagement teeth of the dogs. And in fact, it's this one. You can probably see it on the side profile better. There's an angle. As the edge wears, it's got less and less purchase on the gear, and eventually there's too much wear on this initial uptake flank that'll cause the gear to sort of, as it rotates, it engages and it'll pop out.
Yep.
As that wear accelerates, it'll get worse and worse. It's picked up at an early stage by the looks of that. It's not absolutely trashed, but enough to cause some riding issues. So yeah, the new one's going to be a better thing. Yeah,
in a street bike it'll probably be fine, because the way I'm riding it is like hard. So yeah, because it's on a racetrack, and it's also got a quick shifter that's getting involved there. So
that's right. Yeah, you've got shorter levers and so on. So comparing new to old, you can see here's the new one, here's the old one. This is a clean surface and no wear on those flanks or corners. And then you've got the wear on that one. I'm just comparing, making sure that you don't have the wrong model or whatever. But no, it looks like the same tooth count. So yeah, well that'll fix the issue for sure.
Yeah.
So this is fourth gear, and to me that wear, at least on the one flank, which I'm going to assume is the upshift.
Yep.
That's been hammered a fair bit more, and you can actually see the contact all the way down to the root of the engagement. I reckon that's under a fair bit of stress at that point. Yeah,
and I'd say, like, just without overthinking it, I reckon probably at the bend, you'd spend a lot of time in fourth gear, in and out of third and fourth.
Third to fourth. It's the shifts. It's not so much sticking in one gear. It's when you're banging from third to fourth. It's going to do the wear.
Yep.
So yeah, no, that's that looks. In all honesty, that looks sadder than second gear does. So it'll be interesting to see if you can get your hands on a replacement fourth gear as well. And you can also make sure that you know, the sliding dog engagements are good, but these parts seem to wear much less.
Yeah.
The male protrusions seem to wear much less than the...
Is it a different material, or is it...
Well, it looks like it, doesn't it? I can't say for sure, but it certainly seems like the heat treatment's maybe a little bit different. See, this is a dark black, and this is definitely a forged item. So you can see like all the moulding stamps and so on in here.
Yep.
And then they've just cut the gears out of like a blank. So that might have been a solid there. But all of this detail seems to be, to me, like a cold die forging. I don't know if these are forged or if they're machined. They've got a nice sort of, almost looks like a semi-forged, like that interior shape is forged.
And that'd be like a blank that they put on the hobbing machine?
I think so,
yeah.
So your different ratios would probably all come from the same blank.
Yep.
They just cut different teeth for different models. But what material they're made out of, it seems to me like those are harder, those parts there, that with the male protrusions, than the actual gears themselves. And they might do that deliberately so only one side of the equation wears.
Yeah, okay.
What we'll do next is we'll get it all apart, take a couple photos of how it's laid out so we can get it reassembled. Phone again.
All right, so what are we looking at here?
We got the shift barrel here. So you got 3 major tracks.
Yep.
And those control 1 fork each. So you got 3 forks in the assembly. Each fork has a lug on the side that tracks along. We'll just use this one as an example. And as you kick the gear lever to rotate it, it'll kick it forwards and backwards, and that'll select, so for example, first, second, or whatever it is. What we're looking for from a repair perspective, especially if you're talking about jumping out of gears, it's not just the gear itself that's going to cause that, it could be the shift assembly. So you're going to have wear on this pin here, or the lug, and also potentially wear in the actual track of the shift barrel if it's been used for a long time. That sort of wear is less common than just dog wear in general, but it's always a good idea to check just in case.
And because I'm such a nice guy, I actually bought brand new shift barrel and forks there, so if you wanted to do a comparo then you could.
Yeah.
Because I know those things bend or they break. But
that's right, you can get bent fork tips.
Yep.
And also obviously wear on that lug. Do you want me to pull that out?
Oh, if you want, yeah. Yep.
Just see if we can see any difference.
And just as a point of difference, this one here that's a shift star from Factory Pro in America, from Mark Sabersberg. So he redesigns them, reprofiles a new one, and then instead of the factory, which you probably can just tell, it's got a sharper profile on it, but also the roller that kicks across them that makes it go in, it's got a stronger spring on it.
D10 spring, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also got a ball bearing on it, whereas the normal one's just got a wheel on it.
Yeah, so this matches that profile of the ball bearing instead of the wheel.
Yeah. Yep.
It's nice.
Yeah, he's sold thousands of those things, so yeah, to all different brands.
But I'm not, in this used shift barrel and these used forks, I'm not seeing a lot of wear, so nothing to be worried about, and that would be good for reuse in my opinion. Well,
the only ones of these I've ever seen that needed to be replaced were ones that have literally had a catastrophic failure happen around them, and big chunks of metal come out.
There've been collateral damage.
Yeah, because a mate of mine in Sydney, Harley from RB Racing, he had a customer engine there he was trying to find parts from, and I just happened to spare one of them sitting around and spare forks, so that managed to get the guy back together for a race meeting, which was good. So
Yep. No, that'll more than likely be reusable. Probably the only other thing you can do is take it to an engineer's table or something flat if you've got some marble or whatever.
Oh, yep.
And you just want to check for rock across the 2 tips. You might be able to perceive it. If you can't, you put a bit of pressure on and get your feeler gauge under both sides and see if there's any distortion across the contact pads.
Yep.
They're so small that you're going to find it'd have to be fairly obvious, like a serious bend for you to be able to pick that up. But gut feeling there is that she's pretty square.
And I'm assuming you've seen enough of these to know what you're looking at.
Any dramas. Yeah, look, I don't play with motorcycles anywhere near as much as we do automotive, but it's the same principle.
Yeah.
It's just really scaled down, so yeah.
And which is surprising too, because a lot of these bike engines end up in cars too. And
yeah, you're right. Yeah. We do see, you know, a little bit of speedway stuff and hill climbers and things like that. You know, I don't know if you've seen some of these Hayabusa rear wheel drive things that run a 1300 or whatever turbocharged in a little. I've seen a Fiat 500 with one in it and all sorts.
There's a guy back when I was at Fast Fours magazine in Norway who had a CBR900 powered Ford Escort with a turbo on it.
Yeah.
And he said his biggest problem was breaking clutch baskets.
Yeah,
just because of the weight of the car. Snapping the teeth off, the forks off them.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's even a problem in automotive, like dual clutch transmissions and so on. So, yeah.
Nice. So, I mean, this one here, same deal. We'll pull this one apart. But
yeah, we'll get it apart. Doesn't seem to be any problem on this side of the equation.
And I guess the thing is too is what, in your personal opinion, because the way these dogs engage with each other as opposed to engaging inside, is that just because this is like a higher ratio and it's less dependent on the way that, I don't know, what's the deal with that?
No, like without knowing the minds of the engineers that designed this in the first place, my basic understanding would be that that would be a space constraint.
Yeah.
See, that's a more compact profile in the gear compared to something that has male lugs coming up and over.
Yeah, okay,
in the design. Okay, so this allows you to have potentially 3 gears in the space of 2.
Yep.
Because you've got one with the male lugs here, and you've got 2 that have recessed lugs, and they'll tuck into each other.
Yeah.
Whereas here, obviously, there's more space for whatever reason, and so they can go to the male design. Again, using experience from automotive, nearly everything that I've seen out of performance transmissions, dog boxes and sequential transmissions used for racing applications, they're always using this male dog design. You very rarely see that female style dog design in automotive use. There's one application I can think of, and that's about it.
So this other gearbox I pulled apart here, there's a bit of wear on everything. This came out of an engine that was, I could describe it none other than buying it off a complete criminal meth head who I did an engine number check and it wasn't stolen, thankfully.
Okay.
But this guy completely lied to me, telling me it was an amazing engine. It got dropped off somewhere and the head had been pulled off and it was completely stuffed, but the gearbox wasn't in 1,000 pieces, so I stripped it out and used it as a dummy engine for building the last bike I did, because they're much lighter when they don't have cranks and gearboxes and stuff in them. Yeah. So what do you reckon, mate?
It's all looking pretty good. Majority of these components we're going to be able to reuse. So we'll give them a good clean up and then have a look at the next step of potentially making them a little bit stronger and less likely to wear out in the future. We'll take our photos and marks and get it all ready and cleaned up and move on to the next step. Oh, probably get that star off so we can get that bearing off, because we'll want to isotropic super finish the shift barrel, smoothing out these channels. So. And
tell me, so I mean, we can get into that a bit more later, but what's the advantage? Obviously, it just makes it all smoother and everything slides and glides better. And
So sliding surfaces really benefit from it because it's a reduced friction on a smoother interface between 2 surfaces. If you've got a smooth and hard surface, it's going to wear out at a slower rate than something that's got machine marks and little nicks and burrs and things like that you get in production and heat treatment and so on.
Yep.
So it smooths out those I suppose, peaks. If you imagine like a microscopic surface is a bunch of hills and valleys, right? What isotropic superfinishing is doing, it's not a mechanical process, it's a chemical process, and it's knocking the tips off of all of the mountains and bringing it down to about the valley level. It does that without changing like the overall geometry of the say gear face or whatever by anything that's noticeable anyway. It's probably a few microns, but it's enough to make a difference as far as making the surface very uniform. And when you got a uniform surface, it's like less likely to crack. You're gonna get crack formation on any sharp edges, any pitting, or any burrs that you'll find on in the roots of teeth and so on. But the polishing process helps with all of that. So yeah, nice. It's a good thing. We've seen some really good results out of back-to-back testing with and without in little drag cars and things like that. So we like it. We back it.
Well, do you want to give me a quick tour of the workshop?
Yeah, all right.
Yep, let's have a look around.
So this is where we do most of our assembly. So we've got piles of shims there, and we've sort of got 4 workstations. So in various place of disarray, but
well, it's busy, so you got lots of work on.
We're always flat out. We're always, you know, so we're picking and packing for future builds here. Mostly, we specialise in JDM stuff mostly. These are all Evo builds that we've got planned. Custom gears for transfer cases straight out of Italy. Over here we've got, you know, like these are Road Ranger gears. Actually, we don't do any Road Ranger builds, but we have companies send us gears for these shot painting and isotropic super finishing processes. Subaru, STI, and yeah, all sorts. But most of the assembly is done in here.
And I see there's a diff here.
Yep. So that's a Navara D40. That's in for an E-locker install and new crown wheel and pinion for a guy that does a bit of off-road work. So yeah, we do differentials and gearboxes.
In fact, you did the one for my Land Cruiser.
That's right. Yeah, yes. We did.
Yeah.
And then this is sort of more where the dirty work happens, I suppose. We got storage of a lot of used components and used core units, obviously in and outs.
An Evo 3.
Yeah, that's my little toy that I'm going to start chipping away on. This is our little machine shop. Got a lathe, surface grinder, hacksaw, welding gear in the corner there. In here's a isotropic super finishing machine burring away at the moment with a gear kit. So some of these are gears that have already been done. So we've got a really nice, uniform, highly polished surface. I wish I could show you some befores, but yeah, all comes up really nice.
And how long do you normally have to leave stuff in there for?
That's about a day. So there's two chemical processes, 2 steps. The first one does the etch, and then the second one's the brightening process. They're about 4 to 5 hour processes each. We've got a sort of semi-automated system where we can run an overnight cycle as well, where it switches over chemicals and so on. So yeah, so this is so much of what we do is cleaning. Smart wash, what we call the dog wash, just for rinsing. And back here's most of the blasting processes. So got a nice bead blasting machine, which we use to clean up housings. This is called a torrent machine, which is like it's really just a glorified pressure washer in an enclosed cabinet. Really good for initial clean stuff.
Yep.
This is the shot painting machine. So it's a basic blast cabinet that we've converted to be able to do shot painting with rotating fixtures and so on. It has a pretty serious pressure pot, and it has its own dedicated 20 horsepower compressor. It also has a machine that sifts the media to make sure that you've always got a uniform ball size, because that's really critical in shot painting. We circulate that through very regularly just to make sure it's all clean and no contamination. You're not blasting it with, you know, little flakes of rust or whatever that's coming off of the material. So
yep.
Yeah, big compressors and chemical storage and so on down the side.
And a motorbike.
Yeah.
Is that the one you restored?
No, that's my son's little MX-80.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bit of vintage job.
Yeah, we've just pulled off the carby, so you can see a nice fuel leak there.
That's cool though.
Yeah. He's just it was a little project with my dad and my son, so
nice.
It's a bike that I used to ride. Yeah.
Nice. All right, so we'll box that up. We'll do what we do. Take some photos for reference. Yeah. I'm gonna jump on and see if I can order a 4th gear and maybe 3rd as well, whatever I can get my hands on.
Yeah.
And then the next step will be to do the treatments.
We'll do the maybe a little bit of crack testing if needed.
Yep.
We'll go over them once they're clean.
Yep.
And then also the shot painting and isotropic super finishing. Yeah.
Cool.
Good stuff.
So when you get in about 30 seconds into a video and you haven't got the thing recording, and you don't see the red light on, start again. All right, so quick update before I get back into doing more on this bike. I've done a couple of quick Insta updates and stuff like that, but before you've just seen me and Sam from Neat Gearboxes messing around with the gearbox, I had some bits on order and they're on back order, so they're going to be a long time. So what I did as well is I started looking around online. I found a secondhand gearbox, not quite sure if it was any good. The guy wouldn't send me photos, but I rang him, took a punt on it, and I went, oh, okay, it was quite cheap, but then the shipping from the US to Australia wasn't, but it's still cheaper than buying new stuff, so I took a punt on it. It's got here. It's better than what I've got. It's not perfect. He did say it was like a brand new one, so but I'm gonna probably look at maybe using bits of it and we'll see how we go from there. But I'm gonna flip around and I'll show you no more of this face. All right, so I'm gonna try not to bore you with too much of this, but this is the gearbox that's arrived here, and well, that as well. But these are the main gears in question here. So first through to fourth, so first, second, third, fourth. And the problem that I have with this one is it's second gear, or this one that's in here. So as you can see, second gear's pretty munted. I do have a brand new second gear there. And then basically the others are all got a lot of wear on them. So even through to first gear, which is the biggest one, that's got a little bit of wear, but that's still usable. But this one here, the guy told me, I bought it, it was a mint and everything like that, but there is rust in some spots, plus there is some wear in there. So thankfully, I think I'm going to be able to make a good one out of the two, because I had ordered some new ones and they're on back order, which sucks because it's going to take forever. But in the meantime, I've just been messing around, getting things ready with the, you know, scraping away and cleaning and getting the cylinder head ready to put back on the engine. On top of that, we've got the casings cleaned up. I've just scrubbed off the top of the piston, so forth, cleaned everything very lightly. No, all these bits are all here. A bit more cleaning to do on some stuff, but that, I have a set of brand new AS3 silicone hoses from the UK. There's a spare one that was a bonus one from the last set I bought, which is on that bike there. Then these are all the other bits for this other engine. That's a Nova Racing gearbox there, which amazing. And then big rod. So this other engine, I have the casings, I have everything for it, except I need to get the bores done, so sleeved larger and the pistons to suit. And I want to go maybe a 970cc, but this is all happening after this one at a time. I've also got a new radiator for it, because the old one, as they say, more hits than Elvis. So yeah, I was getting a bit tired, so all I have to do with this one is put a mesh on the front of it, like a rock stopper. Other than that, the bike is pretty good. I'm going to try and track down another screen, because I've had some sort of brake fluid explosion in there, but it doesn't really affect it. But I believe that's from the master cylinder, which is a piece of junk. It's a later model CBR900 or 1001, I'm not sure, but the brakes were horrible at the Adelaide Motorsport Festival, so I'm going to ditch this one and put a Brembo one on it. But other than that, yeah, I'm just at the point where this gearbox and that gearbox will all go back down to Neat's, and we'll work out which bits we're going to use to make one whole gearbox. And then yeah, from there it will all go back in the engine, assemble it all up, put it back together, and at that point I'll do like a basic run in it, because I have all new bearings in it as well, and then probably run it up on the dyno, drop the oil, and then give it some fresh oil, and then she's ready for the track. Anyway, so yeah, I want to get this all back together. It's like awkwardly crooked, and then put it back in the bike. And yes, they are spare CBR engines. They're just junk engines. So one is completely stuffed. One's just the casing, which was used for dummy up. Both heads may be usable, but yeah, we'll see. So anyway, lots to do. But now that I've got a gearbox that I can make a gearbox out of, then yeah, I can do that. And obviously new gasket sets arrived, and all of my new bits over here, which all came from CMS. So I have all new engine bearings. I bought some more gaskets, even though I've got them in there. I wanted some spares anyway. A genuine Honda rock cover gasket, and yeah, so I've got some spares left over for the next one as well. New exhaust gaskets, a new lock nut for the clutch, which is fairly important because the other ones had a few ons and offs. And just all new bearings right across, and took the time to work out what was what. But also when it goes back together, everything will be triple checked just to make sure it's all fine. Crankshaft is here. That all looks really nice. So I'll be double checking everything, triple checking everything. Strangely enough, when this engine came apart last time, one of the Conroe bearing caps was on the wrong way around. So obviously didn't affect anything, but yeah, something was overlooked. But it's about to rain and make lots of noise. So I'll see you in the next video.